Good morning, everyone. I'm Bill Quinlan, Senior Vice President for the Connecticut Light and Power Company. I am very pleased to announce this morning that we've made excellent progress overnight with our restoration from Storm Sandy. And I do at the outset want to thank our employees and the outside resources who are working so diligently in bringing service back to our customers. Their efforts are truly historic. At this point, we've now restored service to approximately 475,000 customers. We've also restored service to 600 critical facilities across the state, have approximately 300 critical facilities remaining. And again, critical facilities are hospitals, police, fire, wastewater treatment. That remains a focus for us at this point. Also, our singular focus today and for the balance of this restoration is on the 250,000 customers who remain without power, and they have our undivided attention. We have also at this point completed our initial damage assessment. As we had discussed previously, having an understanding of the damage to our system is critically important to projecting when we're going to complete our work, and we now have the information necessary to talk about projections. As you can see, this is a map of the state of Connecticut and the areas served by Connecticut Light and Power, and it's basically a distribution of the damage across the state. So you can see a couple of things. One, the red dots are what we refer to as trouble spots. Those are events or interruptions on our distribution system that have not yet been restored. The green dots are events where the restoration is complete. And a couple of things as you look at across the state of Connecticut, you'll see the distribution of damage very heavily hit and concentrated in southwest Connecticut and also along the eastern shoreline. This is consistent with the weather pattern that moved across the state. This variability in damage, as well as the variability in each and every one of these trouble spots, is something we need to factor into our restoration projections. So what I mean is, in certain instances, these trouble spots may be as simple as a tree lying across our lines, where we could simply remove the tree, operate a device, and restore service. In other instances, one of these dots may be a series of broken poles. 4 broken poles, 5 spans of conductor or wire that are down, which would require many hours to restore and many crew resources. So not only is the distribution important, but the variability in the damage associated with each and every one of those trouble locations. At this point, some of the key things that are not reflected on the chart but which drive our projection are the number of broken poles. We now estimate in excess of 1,000 new poles that we're going to have to set from this point forward. We also have several thousand spans of conductor or wire that are going to have to be restrung in many transformers across the state. The point being, there's a lot of work ahead of us, particularly in these severely impacted portions of the state. Those are essentially complete rebuilds of the distribution system. As we've talked about previously, another key variable beyond the damage is what are the resources we could bring to bear against this damage. And we've talked about the number of foreign linemen who are currently working under CL&P, and that was previously 1,080. The restoration projection that I'm going to give you today is based upon us increasing that level to approximately 2,000 linemen over the next several days. And we do have a plan to achieve that. We've taken that data, the damage and the resources, and we've run it through 3 independent models that will essentially churn out our restoration projection. So we're trying to triangulate through these computer models to today's projection to ensure they are aligned, and if they're not aligned, we need to understand the differences. However, there are many variables that the model doesn't take into account. I just want to make you aware of those. Things such as weather, You know, do we have an additional storm front that rolls through? Does it cause additional outages? Do winds exceed a certain speed and then we can't put buckets in the air? Is there heavy rain, which may reduce the lineman's ability to perform work? All of those variables are not really accounted for in the model, so we're assuming relatively good working conditions throughout this period. And thankfully today appears to be a good day. So, explain the models, explain the approach. At this point, what we're going to be sharing with you is the best estimate that we have for when our customers can expect restoration. I want to stress at the outset, this is an estimate. It is not a guarantee, and I think our customers need to plan accordingly. What we're trying to do is share with them our best information based upon what we know, when we know it, and we'll make whatever adjustments we need to over the coming days to ensure that they could make informed decisions. Before I share with you CL&P's restoration projection, I do want to share with you what we're hearing from some other utilities in hard-hit areas, generally in the Mid-Atlantic and here in the Northeast. I think given the amount of damage that many have experienced, we're getting non-specific projections. You're hearing utilities saying things such as the majority of our customers will be restored in 10 days, or customers should expect restoration no earlier than 7 days. These are the types of projections you're hearing across the industry at this point, non-specific due to the amount of damage and the fact that we're only 2 days from the event. With all of that said, for CL&P, what we're going to communicate today to our customers is that we expect to complete substantial restoration by Monday or Tuesday of next week. And this concept of substantial completion recognizes the fact that there will likely be customers whose restoration will extend somewhat beyond that period. And there's a variety of reasons for that. You know, in certain instances, there are damages to individual customer services. In other instances, we'll take on new events as a result of weather or things that disrupt our utility system. And there are houses simply where the service cannot be restored, either because the home is inaccessible or it's been destroyed. So those variables are factored into our definition of substantial completion. So just so we're clear, we expect to be substantially complete by Monday or Tuesday of next week, and that is something that the vast majority of our customers can plan on. Okay? And you could be assured that we're going to do everything possible to restore the quickest number of customers just as soon as we can. And we will continue to provide updates as we progress through these critically important days. And with that, I do again want to thank our employees for the hard work that they've done thus far, and also the hard work that we expect to see in the coming days to meet this key objective. We think it's a challenging target, but we want to be able to communicate to our customers what they can expect. And at this point, I'd be happy to take any questions.
Bill, can you respond to a report that we've had that you had some sort of a pay dispute with some of your tree people and that they've left to go to other states, and that your linemen are actually doing tree work when they should be? Those are critical employees who are needed for doing line work.
Yeah, I'm unaware of any issue with respect to payment for tree workers. I am aware that we continue to add tree workers to our restoration effort.
And we were told it was in the Norwalk area where some of your employees have told us that.
I have not heard that rumor.
Bill, would you want some type of number perspective on your definition of vast majority? Is, for example, is that in excess of 90 or 95%?
Yeah, it's well in excess of 90 or 95%. We expect that number to be approximately 2%.
2%.
Correct. And that's based on our total customer base.
Are you able to give any kind of projection on polling places? I believe there's the Secretary of the State has said that approximately 100 were in your service area that are still unserved by electricity. those would be also considered critical once you get to, I mean, obviously a sewage plant is more important than a polling place.
Yeah.
But as of when Tuesday approaches, that's an important place.
Yeah, very, very important facility, obviously, given the upcoming election. Those polling stations were not in the numbers I gave you around critical facilities. However, they are getting very high priority. There are approximately 750 polling locations across the state. Every day we are tracking our performance and restoring those facilities. We expect the vast majority, if not all of those facilities, to be available for next Tuesday.
By Monday evening.
Monday evening, yes. Thank you.
Why can't you be more specific? You know, United Illuminating said 95% of its customers by midnight Monday.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with United Illuminating's projection, and I've tried to share with you why we're not giving a specific percentage. I think given the amount of damage to our system and the fact that we're multiple days away, I don't want to get more specific than this. However, what I am telling you is that we expect to have approximately 2% of our customers remaining without power on Tuesday, by Monday or Tuesday. So I believe, given all that and what you're hearing across the industry, we're very specific.
Right. Well, I mean, the elephant in the room is you don't want to happen what happened a year ago with Mr. Butler. So you're being more conservative on your estimate.
No, I think this is a realistic estimate. And to pull this off, to achieve this restoration, is going to require an extraordinary amount of coordination in the field, high level of execution by our field forces. We're going to have to bring additional resources to bear. We're going to have to overcome any weather challenges or new outages. There are a lot of variables in this. And based upon everything we know, we do believe this is a challenging target that we've set for ourselves. And I will say, if we're able to pull this off, in my view, this is among the best restorations you'll see in the industry.
Given the situation in New York and New Jersey and points south and west, how realistic is it for you to get another 1,000 linemen in here?
Yeah. As I said earlier, you know, we've been targeting 2,000 linemen since the outset, and some of the challenges you just mentioned have impeded the ability to achieve that target. Right now, we believe we have a strong plan in that, strong enough such that we feel comfortable making that as a planning assumption. If I didn't feel confident we'd be able to get the 2,000 linemen, it wouldn't be a planning assumption.
So they're still on their way from way outside the storm areas?
Not necessarily. In fact, several hundred linemen are going to be arriving in Connecticut later today to bolster our team. So I do have time for one last question. Now I'll turn it over to Mr. Torgerson.
Can I follow that?
Sure.
I just want to check. Yesterday you talked about roughly about a 33% increase in your out-of-state contingent, going from 1,080 out-of-state linemen to 1,380, from 638 tree removal crews, staff, not crews, to 888. Does that still look like it's going to happen by the end of business today?
I think what I said yesterday, in fact, I know what I said yesterday, was we had secured commitments for an additional 300 linemen that were going to arrive over the next several days.
Next
several days. I expect we're going to have far more than 300 arriving over the next several days. So
Not necessarily all today.
Not necessarily today, but I do think we're going to make very strong progress towards our target of 2,000 over the next several days. Thank you very much.
One more easy question, Bill. Can you identify any regions that might get fixed earlier than others? Does it look easier in any part of the shoreline or anywhere on that
And this
map?
is the last question.
Okay, yeah.
So if you look at the map, the central part of our service territory, the area where you see a lot of green, that portion of the service territory is relatively lightly hit. We moved quickly through the clearing of blocked roads, and we've been in bulk restoration, as you can see from the green dots. So I do expect the central portion of Connecticut to be restored quickly. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Jim Torgerson, President and CEO of UIL Holdings. First off, I want to express our gratitude for our customers for their patience and continue to have patience, and also that our employees are doing their best to get the power back as quickly as they can. So I really want to thank our employees, our contractors, and the mutual assistance crews we've gotten. They're doing a phenomenal job, and I expect that they will continue to do that and do it safely, which is the most important thing. As you know, we announced this morning that As we said yesterday, that we would have, as we said, we announced it today, that we will have 95% of our customers will have power by midnight on Monday. Now, keep in mind that means that about 16,000 will probably not have power at that point. We're going to do our best to do better, but that's our best estimate at the time. And as Mr. Quinlan said, these are results of models and estimates that we put forth, and we have a lot of assumptions that go into that, but that's our best estimate. Today, we are targeting to restore 20 to 25,000 customers today. And as of this morning, we had about 108,000 customers out, and we restored about 92,000 so far. Now, our resources that we have at this point, we're going to have about 400 linemen today, and we're going to get an additional 100 for tomorrow. We have about 350 tree clearance personnel, and another 20 are coming in tomorrow as well. And then we have about 300 other personnel, which are damage assessors and service personnel. That'll give us a total of about 1,050 people on the ground doing work. The vast majority of our crews are going to be working 16-hour days, mainly during daylight hours. A couple reasons for that. First, safety. It's much safer to work during the daylight hours, and it will be part in the dark as well, obviously. But also, they're more productive working in daylight hours. So that is the reason we're pursuing the 16 hours, and we'll have a small contingent that will be working overnight. By tomorrow, we will be able to provide a town-by-town estimates to the town emergency operations centers, so they'll have that information of restoration times for each town. And with that, I'd be happy to answer whatever questions you might have.
Would you take this opportunity to respond to the Bridgeport mayor's allegation that you're favoring the wealthy suburbs over Bridgeport in your restoration efforts?
I don't think that's true. As a matter of fact, I know it's not. We restored 13,000 customers in Bridgeport since 6 o'clock last night. And they had 2 priority schools that we got online about 8:30 last night so they could have school today. So I think we've done a very good job. And, we have 17 towns we have to work in. So we spread the resources. We gave a tree crew, a line crew to each town. And then our other resources have been working on the priorities that each town gave us. So we're going through that whole list. So we've spread it out pretty well. Bridgeport's a big city, obviously the largest in the state, so they're getting resources just like all the others. So we just show no prejudice for any town.
But is there more resources in Bridgeport? Because obviously that's a population center and a resource center for the region.
We have quite a few resources in Bridgeport right now. I don't know the exact numbers for today. We'll have that. Actually, we'll probably have that later this morning when we have our conference call with the towns. We usually have a list of how many resources are in each town.
And the Secretary of the State has told you where the polling places. I mean, this is not normally the kind of sewage treatment plants you understand and what have you, but polling places aren't usually where you have to concentrate on getting them back on. You're able to get them back on by Monday night?
We would hope we can get them all on. As we said, we'll have 95% of our customers on. So, and most of the polling places are schools,
right?
And so those are generally getting a
senior centers and schools,
right? So I think we should be in pretty good shape for the election on Tuesday.
I have a question. Do you guys have most of the power poles in the state? Has that been an issue getting them into Connecticut at all? Or do you have plenty on hand?
We have plenty of supplies for power poles, transformers, wire, cable. We have plenty of supplies. In advance of the storm, we bring in more supplies, and we have suppliers that provide that to us on a real-time basis as well. So we're in good shape there.
Do you know how many, I know CL&P said 1,000 poles were damaged. Do you know how many poles were damaged?
It was, I think it's less than 200, but still, they're 5 times our size, so that's about proportionately. I think it was last I saw was in the low hundreds, but that had been about 2/3 of our assessment was done. And keep in mind, our assessment we've only assessed about a little over 2/3 of our system, but we're doing our projections based on that and based on historical information we have.
Let me ask you the same question I asked Mr. Quinlan. Are there any regions in the United Illuminating service area that you think will come back sooner within the next few days as opposed to towards the end of your projection?
Well, our service area is pretty compact, as you know. It's pretty much along the shoreline, so the damage is consistent. I mean, a little bit different like Ansonia and Derby. I think we're down to where we have a smaller amount of customers, but we'll allocate our resources across the system to where we can get the most customers back the quickest. So I wouldn't say anybody's going to be sooner than others, but it may vary a little bit, but not appreciably.
But it doesn't appear as though you've made a lot of progress in the last 24 hours.
Actually, we went from 137,000 out yesterday to 107,000, so
Oh,
we
you did.
actually restored about 30,000 since yesterday.
So proportionately, that's...
Well, that's quite a few.
Yeah.